Good morning. How about this time of year? Are you ready? How's it feeling? Is it feeling festive yet? Is it not feeling festive yet? I know for myself, it's kind of one of those things where this time of year for me is amazing. I love it because I really do believe in the spirit of the Christ, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And to me, it is something that as I go throughout the season, it ramps up, it builds. And there's something inside of that time that really becomes sacred and holy to me. It's one of my, without a doubt, it is one of my favorite times a year. And so as you start to play with this idea of the Christmas season, and for some of us, it can mean a lot of joy and a lot of happiness and really profound insights and understanding. And for some of us, there can be some sadness involved. And so I'm acknowledging all of it. Because as a community, as a family, that's what we do, right? We hold each other and we support each other in this journey called life. So unity has a little bit of a different take on this whole time of year. And it's this idea of the Christ within us awakening. And it's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful exploration. It's a time of really settling in and going, oh, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that there's something inside of me that when I pay a little bit of attention to it and I start to acknowledge it and I start to have a relationship with it, that this thing will come alive. And this is a gift. It is something that we all have, and it is our divine gift from God. And all it takes is a little effort and an acknowledgement that it's there. It's a decision to say, you know what? Yeah, this thing exists within me. This thing is inside of me. This thing is very special and very sacred. And we each have our own way of playing with that. So in other words, it looks different for everybody. There is no one size fits all. There isn't. I know a lot of different people will tell you that's not the truth, but I'm telling you right now, there is no one size fits all. Yes, we do things differently here. In case you haven't figured it out yet, we do things a little bit differently here. And yet, the beautiful part about it is we are going to acknowledge the divinity within each and every one of us. And we are going to celebrate that regardless of what it looks like. Because we all are a gift. You, each and every one of you, is a gift. Because of the light that's coming out of you is a unique expression of the divine. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is it to walk around with the idea that you're a gift? I sincerely hope that by coming here and spending time with us, when you walk out of these doors, you take that little piece. You are beyond a gift for humanity. Your presence, your simple presence, just being, is a gift. And we are so grateful for it. I am so grateful that you decided to come and join us this morning. Thank you. I mean that. Thank each and every one of you for going like, you know, it's Sunday morning. I don't feel like getting out of bed. It's awfully cozy in there. And yet I'm going to come in and spend a little bit of time with our family and share a little bit of your light, which is exactly what you're doing by being here. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming and joining us this morning. Incredibly grateful that you're here. So thank you for that. Advent. What is this thing that we're doing? Why is it such a big deal? So last week, we kicked off the Advent season. In the Advent season, we had Bill shared with us this idea of bringing in these qualities of hope and faith. But what is it about this process? Because that's what Advent is. It's a process that we go through. The definition of Advent is the coming. It's the arrival of a notable person, place, or an event. And it's about preparing for it. So that's what Advent is for. It's for preparing for it. So as many of you know, in the traditional Christian story, the Advent is about preparing for the arrival of Jesus. And that's how the story goes. Unity, however, as we know, does things a little bit differently because we interpret things metaphysically, so there's a little bit of a difference there. And in unity, it is about the birth of Christ, but it's not the man, Jesus Christ. It's about what unity believes is the indwelling Christ. So this Advent season in unity is about preparing for the coming of the indwelling Christ that we all believe you have. Each and every one of us has that. And so it's a preparing for that. Wow. So think about that then. It's a completely different experience. And that doesn't mean that we forget about the birth of Jesus. We love Jesus. He was amazing. He's a huge mentor to me. I love Jesus. But I also understand what his true message was, which was, hey, what I've got, you've got. That's what his message was. And so when you think about the idea of the indwelling Christ and it coming, now all of a sudden, this whole season takes on a little bit of a different meaning. This indwelling Christ is just there waiting for each of us to acknowledge it. It does take some effort on your behalf, by the way, to do this. This just doesn't go, boof, there you go. That's not the way it works. This thing inside of you actually takes a moment of your time to go, just maybe, even if I don't understand it, even if I'm not sure how it works, I'm going to acknowledge that maybe there's something inside of me that everybody keeps talking about, and I'm going to start paying attention to it. And so it's waiting for us to acknowledge it. And whether you've been doing this for 2 days or whether you've been doing it for 200 years, it doesn't matter because there is always more within it. And what we believe in unity is that when you start engaging with this thing called the indwelling Christ, when you acknowledge it, when you say, hey, this thing might exist, and I can start playing with it, and you use different spiritual tools that we talk about here at Unity, like, prayer and meditation and all other kinds of fun things, then all of a sudden you actually are part of the process. Yeah, in other words, you engage with this process. And you start playing with this thing, and you start developing this amazing relationship and this amazing gift that we used to think we had when we were kids, most of us, because if you truly leave the children alone, they got this stuff figured out. Before all the garbage has been put in their heads, before all this crap has been put in their mind, they get it. They understand that there's a connection. They understand that they're connected to something that's bigger than them. It's natural. And the only reason that they don't have more of it, and the only reason we don't have more of it, is because of the fact that we have believed the garbage that's been put on our head. That's what? All the stuff from our childhood. All of it. But the kids, when you leave them alone, they don't have it. And that's why you see kids so happy. And that's why you see them so joyous. And that's why you see them do what they do, which is so fun to be around kids, right? We need to be more like kids. I think somebody said that. I'm not sure. A quote somewhere I heard. I don't know. So that's what the Advent season is really about. It's about preparing yourself for the coming of the indwelling Christ. Your own indwelling Christ. Not my indwelling Christ, your indwelling Christ. Then, if that's what I'm supposed to be doing, Mike, what does that look like for me? That's a great question. So, what does that look like for you? Because it's different for every single one of us, like I've said. And so what I'm inviting you to do during this Advent season is something maybe you've never done. I don't know, maybe you have done it. But if you haven't done it, then I encourage you. And the reason I encourage you to do it is because my own belief is that this time of year is a very, very magical time of year. There's more light coming in right now than there is during the entire year. That's been my experience and a lot of other people's. And so it's kind of like you're given additional support at this point in time if you all of a sudden go, yeah, I think I want to do this. And so you'll be supported in this idea with all the light and all the energy that's going on if you decide to do that. And so I would just encourage you to think about it. What is it that you need to do to prepare for this? And by the way, again, I don't care if this is the first time you've heard this. So maybe for you it looks like just asking a question. I don't know. What do I need to do for this? For my own indwelling Christ to happen? Maybe you start there, right? Maybe there's something that's been nudging you, like you have no idea, but you just know something inside of you is going, hey, something's going on in here and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I know I'm supposed to be doing something. Great. What if you ask yourself, like, oh, what does that look like? Because here's the thing. What I know about you is that when you start engaging with the universe, when you start engaging with this energy, it will play with you back. How many people have that experience? I know you're in here. That's what happens. Why? Because of who and what you are. You're an incredibly powerful being. You are powerful. And when all of a sudden you say, hey, I think I want to start doing this dance. I think I want to have this party. I want to do this thing that this crazy guy Mike talks about, how fun and how exciting it is. Only I want to do it for me. Hey, universe, show me. Show me. Show me my way. Show me my indwelling Christ. Show me what that is. And then sit back and let it come. And here's the thing. You're never going to know how it's going to come. You're going to be driving down the road, and all of a sudden, a radio's going to come on. A song's going to come on the radio, and all of a sudden, you're going to be in a bucket of tears and going, what on God's green earth just happened? You're going to be talking to a friend on the phone, and they're going to say something, and all of a sudden, you're going to get like, ding, 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 pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. You're going to be walking through a bookstore, and all of a sudden, a book's going to fall on the ground, and you're going to go, oh my God. You just don't know how it's going to show up. But it's going to show up. I promise you. If you'll just open yourself up to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you're being held. You really are being held. Spirit really is there to help you and support you. And I know, but Mike, I got all this stuff going on. How can you say that? Because I've been through a lot of that, a lot of it. And I understand it's not easy. And I understand sometimes it gets difficult. And I understand that you're like, God, can't I just get some relief? I understand. I've been there. But what I will promise you is if you will honestly just get out of your way, if you let go of what's in here and start holding into your heart and paying attention to what that is trying to tell you, things will start to change for you. They will. If you just start playing with it and engaging with it and trusting it. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start doing things like, I don't know, show up here. And then you're going to start doing, I don't know, signing up for a spirit group. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start doing like, oh, I don't know, praying. And oh, I don't know, maybe you start journaling. Or I don't know, maybe you start doing breath work. I don't know what you're going to do. But if you'll just trust it, this thing that is holding you, your spirit, by the way, is guiding you constantly. It never, ever stops. Never. It can't. Because you're supported and you're held. And so, in this process of Advent, we come into this idea today. The celebration is about peace. And I want to talk about that for a few minutes because I think there's some misunderstanding in terms of what this thing is called peace and how do we experience this thing that's called peace. And it was interesting because I had a friend of mine ask me, Mike, you do all this stuff. You pray, you meditate, you do all this crazy stuff that you do. Why? And one word came to my mind. One word. Peace. Peace. Isn't that really what we all want? Peace. And as I processed that, I was like, yeah, I was shocked that that was my answer. I thought it would be a whole bunch of other stuff, and it came down to one word, and it was peace. And when I think about that, as I was preparing for my talk, I went in and I looked up the definition of it, and it says, peace is the freedom of disturbance. And then it said, or it's a state or period where there is no war. I thought to myself, I don't know if I like that definition. Because basically what it's telling you is it's the absence of something. And for me, peace isn't the absence of something. Actually, peace is its own thing. Anybody else have that experience with peace? Yeah, good. So I'm not the only one. Yeah, so peace is a real thing that I experience. And it's got nothing to do with the absence of anything. I can feel it. Literally, I can feel peace. When I slow down enough and I take the time and I make that a priority for me, I can experience it and I can feel it, right? Well, okay, Mike, then how exactly does this thing happen? And so here's a question I have for you. And I'm going to ask for a few of you to consider sharing your answer with me. But my question to you is, how or when will peace happen? How or when will peace happen? So I'm asking you, anybody want to answer that question? Can anybody share? John?
It happens in this moment now.
Happens in this moment and now? I like it. I like it. Anybody else? Charles?
It happens internally for each and every one of us individually.
Happens for each and every one of us internally.
Be the peace of the world unless we have peace with ourselves.
Can't be the peace of the world unless we be at peace within ourselves. I love it. I love it. Yes, Kathy? When you let it. Boy, you guys are doing good. I'll do Joan, and then I'll do Diane.
Peace happens when I'm so filled with love that it overflows and goes out to the rest of the world.
Wow, there you go. Love it. Beautiful. Thank you. Diane?
Peace is when I'm with nature.
Peace is when you're with nature.
Yeah, sure.
Beautiful. Yeah, so, okay, you all get the little star on your foreheads. Nice job. Nice work, right? It's funny because often what will happen is the answers are normally going to be something needs to happen outside of myself in order for it to happen. That's what most people will say. Well, peace will be when this shows up in my life, or this thing happens, or this thing changes, or whatever. And that's not the way it works. Based on the answers that we heard, pretty much everybody said it's like an inside thing that happens, right? Fillmore said it's a law of spirit that we must be that which we want to draw to us. If we would draw to us love, we must be love, be loving and kind. If we would have peace and harmony in our environment, we must establish it within ourselves. He emphasized the importance of this idea of cultivating inner peace. That's what he talked about as a foundation for a harmonious life. And so Fillmore knew that in order to experience, where did it need to start first? Right there. That's where it needed to start, and he knew it. And that's what he talked about. And so this idea that peace, something outside of us needs to happen in order for us to experience it, I'm going to challenge that thought, or I'm going to challenge that idea, and I'm going to ask you to challenge it as well. And instead of saying to yourself, I'll have peace when, fill in the blank, don't. I can have peace now. I can have peace now. So a couple of thoughts about it. Peace, then, if you think about it, taken to the extreme, is a state of mind. It's a state of mind, right? And it's available to us at any time. Any time. It doesn't depend on anything outside of ourselves. Nothing. It doesn't. You think about all the stuff that Jesus went through in his entire life. And yet, throughout it all, there was this calm, there was this peace, there was this knowing that he could hold on to. The only way that he was able to do that is because he knew it didn't have anything to do with what was going on outside of him. He didn't. He went within because he knew that's where it existed. I'm going to share a story with you that I think illustrates this pretty well. It was about 8:30 a.m. on a busy morning when an elderly gentleman in his 80s arrived to have stitches removed from his thumb. He stated that he was in a hurry and he had an appointment at 9 a.m. I took his vital signs and had him take a seat, knowing it would be over about an hour before someone would be able to attend to him. I saw him looking at his watch and decided since I was not occupied with another patient, I would take a look at his wound. On examination, it was all healed. So I talked to one of the doctors and got the necessary materials to remove his sutures and redress his wound. While taking care of his wound, we engaged in conversation. I inquired of his next appointment if it was medically related, as he was anxious to be on time. He said no, he needed to go to the nursing home and eat breakfast with his wife. I then inquired about her health. He told me that she had been there for a while and that she had Alzheimer's disease. As I finished dressing the wound, I asked if she would be worried if he was a bit late. He replied that she no longer knew who he was, that she had not recognized him for the past 5 years. I was surprised and asked, "And you still go every morning, even though she doesn't know who you are?" He smiled as he patted my hand and said, "She doesn't know me, but I still know who she is." I had to hold back my tears as he left. I had goosebumps on my arm and thought, that is the kind of love I want in my life. One would think that given those situations, the last thing that that person would be able to do would be have any kind of peace. And yet, because of his mindset, he was able to hold that even going through something like that. Even going through something like that. And you can do the same thing. You can. I didn't say that it was easy. I didn't say it was easy, but it's there. It's there. Peace isn't something that happens to us. Peace is something that happens through us. I'm going to say that again. Peace isn't something that happens to us. Peace is something that happens through us. And I'm going to share another story about that. Story time, right? And some of you may have heard this story, but I love the story. In northern frontier of ancient China, there lived a man who was particularly skilled in raising horses. People knew of him and called him Sai Ong, literally old frontiersman. One day, for some unknown reason, his horse got lost and ran off into the Hu territory beyond the Great Wall. The Hu tribes were hostile towards the Chinese, so everyone assumed the horse was good as lost. Horses were valuable to the people living in the frontier, so they regarded this loss as a great financial setback. They visited Sai Ong to express their sympathies, but Sai Ong's elderly father surprised them by remaining calm and unaffected. Much to their puzzlement, the old man asked, "Who says this cannot be some sort of a blessing?" Months later, the horse returned to the stable with a companion, a fine steed of the Hu breed. It was as if Sai Ong's wealth suddenly doubled. Everyone came by and marveled at the new horse and to congratulate him, but again, his elderly father showed no great emotions. He said, "Who says this cannot be some sort of misfortune?" Sai Ong's son enjoyed riding and took the new horse out for a ride. An accident occurred, causing him to fall badly and break a leg. Again, sympathetic people came to console the family, and again they saw the grandfather remaining calm as ever. And just like before, he told them, "Who says this cannot be some sort of a blessing?" 1 year later, the Hu people amassed and crossed the border into China. All the able-bodied young men were summoned into the army to take up arms in defense. Fierce battles ensued, resulting in heavy casualties. Among the inhabitants of the northern frontier, 9 out of the 10 men died. Sai Ong's son did not go into battle due to his broken leg. Because of this, he was spared the terrible fate, and his family survived the war intact. Thus, blessings may turn out to be misfortunes, and misfortunes, blessings. They change from one to the other endlessly. The workings of destiny has a truly fathomless depth. The grandfather. What was the grandfather able to do? He was able to stay in the present moment, and he knew that he was able to process this and just go within, and that's where the peace landed. He knew he had that it didn't matter anything else that was going on. He could go within, and he knew the peace was within. And then it didn't matter if they lost a horse. It didn't matter if they got another horse back. It didn't matter if his grandson's leg got broken. It didn't matter. Because you never know. Isn't that the way life works? Do we ever really know? Do we? No. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring for you. I have no idea. I don't know what it's going to bring for me. And the only thing that I can focus on is something within me that I do believe we all have access to. And that's a deep inner knowing that when I focus and when I concentrate on this idea of peace, and I make that a priority, and I don't make it okay when I don't have peace, then all of a sudden, because of who and what I am, the universe goes, oh, I know what you're up to. Okay. And then what happens? Then all of a sudden, things start to swirl and things start to change. And again, it doesn't mean that nothing is going to show up that could be disturbing. But what I do know, and what I promise you, is that if you'll concentrate on that and make that a priority in your life, and don't worry about the comings and goings of everything else that's out there, and when you settle into it and focus on it, you'll have peace. Why? Because it's always there. It's never not there. It's kind of like gravity. It's always on. But if we're not paying attention for it, if we're not looking for it, then you miss it. True confession, I miss it at times. I just do. This last week I had all kinds of wonderful things, wonderful travel, wonderful time to spend with friends. Lots of driving, lots of travel, lots of moving around and everything. And to be honest with you, peace wasn't the first thing that I was concentrating on. And even this morning, coming in here, there was a lot of comings and goings that was happening before the service, and I'm just like going, okay, Mike, you're going to talk about peace. You might want to practice that, right? Why? Because I'm human. I'm just like you, right? But what I do know is that when I slow down enough, and it's kind of like this, it's like a homing device, and it's kind of like I send out the signal, it's going like peace, 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 peace. It's all of a sudden, where is it, where is it, where is it? And then, there it is. Now I got it. And that's kind of what it's like. But if I don't ever think about it, if I don't ever focus on it, if I don't make it a priority in my life, then it's kind of not there. It's kind of almost like I don't get that opportunity to do it. And so, as you come into this Advent season, this idea of peace, everybody talks about it. The Prince of Peace, Jesus is coming, right? And again, to me, the thing that drives me crazy about that message is that means it's outside of myself and it's caused by something other than me. And what I'm going to challenge you on is say, no, it's not. It's not caused by something outside of yourself. It's caused by you. And you focusing in on this. And you making peace a priority in your life. Having said that, I am going to kick back to Jesus for a minute because he is pretty amazing at this time of year. If you dare invite him into your Christmas season, do it and watch what happens. And when you get a moment, come and tell me the story about what that was like for you. I do it every year. Every single year, I welcome Jesus into my Christmas season because he, for me anyway, was a pretty amazing part of my life, of his lessons, and I do believe there is a certain power and a certain energy that's around this figure that we call Jesus. And so, if you want to have a little bit of fun, consider inviting him into your Christmas and holiday season and watch what happens. And then, do me a favor and come and share your stories with me, because I would love to hear them. Having said that, I hope you take away this morning this idea of Advent being a process that you can all go through, that you can actually, this idea of awakening the indwelling Christ, this birth, if you will, of that, and whatever it looks like for you. And don't forget peace, because after all, that's where the party's at, right? You're amazing, you're beautiful, you're incredible, you're doing an amazing job, each and every one of you. You're doing an amazing job. Because of who and what you are, you carry a lot of light. And you're beautiful. And I am incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for all that you're doing. You are so needed right now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless. Have a great day.
Hey, it's Reverend Mike here. I just wanted to stop for a moment before you get on with your day, and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. It means the world to us, and I just wanted to let you know if there's anything that we can do to make your experience even better, please do not hesitate to reach out by going to our website. I also wanted to offer you the opportunity for us to get together and sit down so I could get to know you a little bit better and answer any questions that you have. I can either do that by either getting together in person, have a cup of coffee, or we can meet online via Zoom. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at michael@courage2thrive.com. And lastly, if you find these messages are helping you, we would be tremendously grateful if you'd consider donating to the center. The best and the easiest way to do that is simple. Just go to our website. Again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're doing well. God bless, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.